Hey garden friends, welcome back. Hope you're all doing great. We're gonna make some homemade potting mix today. We're in my classroom. I've got these bricks here of compressed coconut coir. It's basically ground up coconut husk. It's a fantastic material. You can do a lot with it for your plants in the garden. It's great organic material. Holds water, holds air a bit, but you know what? It's so firm right now. We're gonna have to break it apart, and then we have a bunch of other ingredients that we're gonna mix to this. We're gonna stir it all up. It's gonna be like a witch's brew of wonderful potting mix. We have a lot of fun little goodies, so sit right back there and enjoy the show. All right, garden friends, so you saw us break apart the coconut coir brick. The trick with that is actually just introduce water. We soaked a little bit, but we didn't have too much time to wait, so we gave it some water. We manipulated it and teased it apart, and look what we have right now. We have this beautiful kind of loose, very fluffy soil mix. It's coconut coir. It's those husks you see here on the coconut all ground up, and it makes a wonderful little addition to soil. We're utilizing it today to make some potting mix. So what we're gonna do is we have a few little extra things we're gonna add to it. So I've got a student here who's gonna help me. They're gonna add in some perlite. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like really quick. Let's put it right there. So that's perlite. Let's get a little closer to the camera. Boom. Looks kind of like little white popcorn. It's really light and fluffy. It's a volcanic rock that humans, they basically harvest it and then they put it in these autoclaves. So they heat it up under pressure and heat, and then they expand like popcorn and it becomes light and fluffy. So can we get about 3 more scoops of that? So what it is we want a good amount of this mixed in, because this coconut coir, gets really dusty, so sometimes it's good to do it outside. Yep, right there. Yep. So we're gonna, mask it up.
One more?
Nope. Try to just dump it next time. Okay, so we're gonna stir that in with our hands, and what it is if you feel like you need more, because what this is gonna do is it's gonna increase drainage for our plants, for our soil. This coconut coir has a great ability to kind of breathe on its own, but if we can introduce some of this perlite, it'll help with the soil structure, makes it nice and crumbly, and then allow water and air to pass through the soil, so that way it doesn't get too compressed, too waterlogged. If you feel like you need more, as you're going, you're like, man, it looks pretty good, but I could probably use a little bit more, then you can get in there and just add a little bit more, and then you stir that up. You don't want to crush it or whatever, you want to just mix it in nice. The more you have, the faster draining your soil is going to be. The less you have, the less draining it'll be. It doesn't really have a whole lot of nutrition. It's not a fertilizer. It's not full of nutrients. But man, I don't know what you're doing with that, bud. You want it nice and fluffy. You don't need to compress it down. All right, trying to mix it. All right, now we're going to add in some bone meal. We're going to add in some bone meal. The bone meal is really high in phosphorus. Perfect, right there. You can see it almost looks like little powderized bones, right? Go ahead and dump it in nice and low. Let's go about 2-3 scoops of that as well. So it has a little bit of nitrogen, but mainly it has a ton of phosphorus, tons of phosphorus. Phosphorus is good for your early root development. It's good for flower and fruit development. It's great, especially if you want big, healthy flower buds, good, healthy roots. The bone meal is essential. It's got lots of calcium in there. It's just fantastic. We love it. So, several scoops. And we're gonna blend it all in. This is an organic phosphorus source, bone meal. All right, so we've added the perlite, we've added the bone meal. We're gonna add some blood meal right here. Some blood meal. It's all nitrogen, lots of nitrogen. That's what makes our plants leafy and green, nice and bushy growth. And so we love that. We call it the growth nutrient. Check this out, look at that. That's what blood meal looks like. And it's kind of very fine sand almost. I'm gonna toss that in, maybe a handful, maybe 2 to 3 handfuls. I want this supercharged potting mix. And so maybe 2-3 handfuls. I'm gonna kind of just tease that in, blend it in. So we got the coconut coir, the perlite for drainage. We have the bone meal, which has a little bit of nitrogen, but mostly phosphorus. We talked about that. The blood meal, tons of nitrogen. And then we also are gonna add in some Sure Start, which is a starter fertilizer. And that has also a lot of nutrition as well. And then so that's really good for our potting mix. But right now we've blended up our homemade potting mix. Like I said, we use that coconut coir brick. We've got all these great amendments in there, and what it's gonna do for us is be a great experiment to compare this with some of the store-bought soils to see how well they grow. I think we're gonna do just fine with this. I'm pretty pleased. Last but not least, we're gonna add in some Sure Start. And so this is a 462. It's got it's an organic fertilizer. It has some mycorrhizal fungi in there. So you can see there's a lot of mixture of different ingredients in there. And it's just a great product. We love this. And so I always add it whenever we're planting our plants or transplanting. So, you know, I figured let's just add it straight to our potting mix. So that way it's good to go. I wish you could feel this right now because the mix is really light, it's fluffy, there's a little bit of moisture in it, but not too much. I'm really excited to see how well it's gonna work with some of our plants, but just by looking at it, I can tell where it appears that it doesn't really have enough perlite. So this is the perlite that we used. Comes in a big old bag ready to use. You can buy it, and it comes sometimes in different size granules, so you can see a different texture. This one is a bit larger, it's more coarse. You can kind of do your research or as far as what's available in your area. I kind of like the larger pieces like this because they always break apart, but once they break apart, you really can't add them back together. So I like these crumbly pieces that are kind of like large breadcrumbs. I've seen it before in a real finer grain mix, and I really didn't like that. I like these bigger chunks, so I feel like it's gonna offer a little more of what I want, that drainage capacity. And so you can see as I mix it in, it just mixes really quickly into the soil. It's not very difficult to do. And what it is with a good potting mix like this that we've supercharged, we're not really gonna have to feed our plants too quickly or too often in the beginning because the soil will hopefully have a bit of nutrition to give our plants some a great start and to be able to grow lots of leaves and branches, maybe even flowers if you got a flowering house plant. But we could also use this outdoors. We can use it as a seed germination mix if we want to, although we've kind of supercharged it a little bit, but it should be good to go. I don't think we've added too much. We're gonna have to do some tests with this, but I feel like this is a pretty good mix for us, and it's a great use of that coconut coir bricks. They were donated to us, which we really appreciate. And so for us, we're gonna bag this up, we'll label it, and we'll put it aside, and we'll use it later for another day. And like I said, we'll have to test it out to see how well it does in comparison to some of the other store-bought brands. I do believe it'll do great, so we'll see how that goes. I hope you learned a little bit. If you did, please like that video and subscribe if you want to come back for more garden adventures. I hope you're all doing great. Until then, garden friends, happy gardening to you, best wishes, and please never stop growing.